Well, what's the crack, everybody? How you getting on? It's Tom O'Mahony here, of course, for episode 172 of Bookshot. What is the story? What a lovely week. A grand, good, busy week now. Good, busy week. A lot of people have been on board already. They've already seen the video to today's episode and the messages I'm getting. I love it. Oh, fuck it, I love it. Namely the Patreons, of course, because only the Patreons get to see the videos. We'd had a couple of new people on board. Somebody, JW or JV, sounds like a Welsh out half from the 80s with amazing side locks. I apologise if that is not who or what you are, but fair play to you. You're on board for the new Patreon, came in this morning. Brilliant. Great to have it. It is, I don't know what date it is. That'd be interesting. It is the 29th of January, as you will hear this, as regular muggles will hear this. I can't believe I said the word muggles. Like, this is a fucking Harry Potter themed. I got sent through a weird Harry Potter gif literally before I just said record on this, and that was why it was in my head. Non-Patreon folk. The Patreon folk will be hearing this audio-wise, and I've already gotten the video, but they'll already get the ad-free content already. You know the crack. If you're wondering how to go about looking down through the things, if you're brand new to this, because it will be, I guarantee you, there'll be people go, what the fuck, I didn't know this was a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy podcast, but I do like conspiracy things. It's a bit of everything podcast. Interesting folk, that's who we talk to, with a midweek ramble by myself, which will normally, and as well as that, there's live ramble pods and chats with the Patreons over on the Patreon page. So that's the best place to go. And I would advise today, if you're not a Patreon and this is your first time listening, going, I like Flat Earth, I like talk, go watch the video. Watch the video, which is on the Patreon page, rather than listen to the audio. The audio is fine, it's good, it's grand. But what it is this guy puts on a fucking seminar. A green screen masterpiece. I mean, he's selling. I'm not sure I'm buying, but I liked it. I enjoyed the hell out of it anyway, regardless. If you don't follow me on all the usual platforms, you know, Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find me everywhere, really. Or O'Mahony, if that's how you're inclined. Chatty Snaps, I don't really use it all. I don't use it at all, to be honest with you, only for funny filters to keep myself interested every so often. Or if I want to look like a squirrel or a broccoli or something, you know. Just something just to pass the day, because that's what we do these days. But Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find it in most places. If you have something long form to send me, buckshotpodcast@gmail.com is the place to go. You know the crack. There's a merch shop. There is a merch shop. You know it. Look, the majority of times, if I say to people, because the merch shop is just, yes, you benefit from something. You get an old sticker, or you get a face of mine put on a hoodie or so. Yes, if that's what you want, class. I got a couple of mugs myself the other day. They're top quality. I can guarantee you they're good, because one already hit the fucking ground from about 4 or 5 feet up and it bounced. It did not go in shit. Do you know when you're watching it just travel through the air, that feels like about 7 seconds, and you're thinking, I should definitely get my foot under that to take the brunt. But then, Jesus, I kind of, in your own head, probably in a sick part of your mind, you're going, I wouldn't mind seeing something break, just have something to talk about. But it didn't. It bounced. I was very thankful. So the mugs are of good quality. I can testify. But if you want to get something more for you, why not go over and become a Patreon for $3 hairs? I would do it for this month just because of this video. But then, if you look at it, I need to actually add, I didn't realize the videos were, Patreon isn't for creator friendly. It needs a lot of tweaks, but it's a fucking brilliant platform for what it does, in that it allows people to, it puts stuff behind the paywall and allows people in and, you know, support the show and all the rest of it. But a bunch of the videos, I hadn't put any hashtag with them to put it in the category, so they were just scattered amongst all the other stuff I'd put up on the page. So you'll see now, I have some of them done, about 30 videos up, of interview videos up, and they're easily to click through now. Right at the top of the page, there's the category videos. So I've about 30 of them done. I got to go through the rest of them, because, of course, would you think it would allow you to go and just click and select all, or select? No. You literally have to go in, add what or hashtag goes with it. Save, back out, right to the top again. Oh, Christ above. And slowly you have to scroll through the whole thing. So I'll eventually get them all done. There's a bunch of videos up there. But at the moment, if you're brand new to it, you jump over and you go, hey, I'd like to have some content to fucking eat up my week. Well, there is probably 40 hours of video. alone, just sitting there waiting to be looked at, including today's podcast. I said all, gigs wise and stuff like that. Have a listen to the Ramble Pod from the other day. I believe it or not, there is some stuff coming up. There's some stuff coming up. And do you know what? There's some more interesting things have just come in this morning. So, lads, do you know something? The world is turning again. Oh, jeez, I can't believe I said that. I genuinely, that has to be some Freudian shit right there. That has to be given today's podcast guest. You know what I mean? I just said the world is turning. Oh, sacrilege. Well, it fucking is turning. So that's the good news. That's the positive thing. Well, this is a positive podcast because I laughed internally. I had to hold it together. I was in two minds what to do with this chap because he approached me. And when I looked it up, it was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's been everywhere. He's been on Chris Jericho's podcast. He's been on a load of places. Like, he is banging the drum. The very flat drum. He's really into this shit and he's got his stuff together, and all the rest. So I said yes. And there was two ways I wanted to go about it because I looked up a lot of people had chatted to him and they were just going for conflict. You know what I mean? They're going, but why? But why? And I went, you were getting nothing out of the guy. Like, it was just the same but why answer. And look, we're all about entertainment here. I don't care. Go somewhere else if you want to be educated. I'm all about entertainment here. So I made the decision to go, all right, man. Let's have it. Let's have it. And then I don't think he picked up. I'm not sure if it was picked up my enthusiasm. I didn't mean it to be as ironic. If you watch the video, you could see my face a few times. It's like, And this guy's he's up to 9,000 revs, just fucking going. He's going for it. He's loving life, like just talking about this fucking flat earth. So I did, and I dropped in a few, like, come on, like right at the top, just to see what way he would react. I did tell him that I am actually a civil engineer, originally by trade, and that I would have studied topography. In fact, I had a company that had topography in it. My company had topography actually in its title, in its name, which is to do with, like, mapping and surveying and land and noticing a curvature of the fucking earth. But I didn't want to pursue it too much because I went, I don't care about having a row. I want to see everything that this guy has to say. And oh, by God, did we get there? Did we get there? We didn't get there with a lot of stuff. When I'd ask him a thing, he'd fucking sidestep it like a politician. Patreon John actually messaged going, do you have his number? Because if my missus is looking for a row, I would love to put her onto that fella because he is some man for sidestepping a question. Like, there's things now you really will appreciate if you can watch the video. So I would urge you to go watch the video. But there's a bit where he's on about perspective of how when you move further away, and I'm tempted to make a clip of it and do the father's head thing with the fucking cow. But like I said, this guy has dedicated his life to this thing. I didn't want to be disrespectful either. And I liked his message that he actually had in the end. Whether you believe it or believe it not, you should, or whatever. But I'll leave you to listen to that much. But I liked the guy. I liked him. I liked his enthusiasm and all the rest of it. There didn't seem to be any, all right, he was a bit heavy now, and you'll see his t-shirt, what is his slogan on his t-shirt and stuff. This guy's all in. Like, it's not just flat earth. He is all in. But there didn't seem to be a badness in him, the kind of way. It seemed to be good all. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I like that. I hope you do too. So, without further ado, please enjoy Flat Earther David Weiss. It's David Weiss, or Weiss, is it Weiss or Weiss? I would say
Weiss
correctly.
like ice.
Brilliant. Perfect stuff. Thank you very much. You're very welcome to Buckshot. This is fantastic. Like as we were just saying just beforehand, I'm an open-minded person. I'm an open book to you,
Don't
David.
be so open-minded that your brain falls out and you believe the earth is flat.
I know, because it is a popular thing that people have brought up, and I have a lot of friends involved in the conspiracy theory kind of side of the world and things like that. So it does come up in conversation on a regular basis. But I have never been to space, David. I can only go. I originally, in a previous life, I was a civil engineer, so we studied quite a bit of topography and things like that. So when it came up in the question, it was, there are arguments for and against, but to talk to an expert on something like this.
So think about this. You know what a plumb bob is? You got a line with a weight on it and pointing straight down, and you hold it perfectly still, and it points straight down, 90 degrees to the floor. So if you believe you live on a ball, as you start moving miles and miles away, the plumb bobs no longer point down. They point this way, and they point this way. And on Australia, they point this way. Just think about that. It doesn't make any sense. Down is down, up is up, no matter how far you go. And we can prove that as we go through this today.
Brilliant. So what was the original, like, were you always this way inclined, David? Were you always asking questions, or was it a case of just something snapped in the head one day and went, you know what, this is...
People always introduce me. We have a very special guest, like I'm like Special Dave. Everybody be nice. It's Special Dave. He's a flat earther. And was I always like this? Sounds kind of like, like, were you always like this? But I guess I was, because I remember when I was in either kindergarten or first grade, they brought us outside and we were doing science. And the teacher got a bucket of water and he swung it around. And he said, this is what gravity is. And as a first grader, second grader, no, for a kindergarten or first grader, I said to him, and he was explaining that's how the, gravity works. And I said, but if we're on the outside of a ball, don't you have to turn the bucket the other way? And the teacher had a big beard. He goes like this. He goes, yeah, that's a good point. He goes, but this is the way we're told to teach it. But you keep asking questions. And he like patted me on the back, and that was the end of it. So I remember that. So all my life, just like everybody else, the earth is a ball, space movies, space cartoons, space Sesame, everything. Look at all kids programming, all movies, all television shows. It's all globe programming. I mean, if you say the globe doesn't exist, there goes Star Wars and Star Trek and The Empire Strikes Back and every space movie and almost every show and everything you believe. It's really hard to wrap your mind around, because it's hard to wrap things around a ball. So it's a good analogy right there. But as we go through this, for those of you that are listening that are new to Flat Earth, don't tune out. Trust me. Nobody says, hey, I want to be a flat earther, because it doesn't come with a lot of praise, or at least it didn't used to. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I have a feeling you say, you said before the show, I'm open-minded. You already know we don't live on a ball. You already know it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know which or what. I cannot put my hand on anything and say for sure. But I mean, the thing for me is, why would they? That's the big thing. And I mean, you can explain that somewhere down the line, that why would you go to all that effort? When you see so many pictures, like the guy, he jumped that parachute jump for Red Bull and stuff like that. It looked like a sphere he was jumping down into.
It did. And he came down. He came down and he said in the interview, he says, I saw the curve of the earth. Right? Here's Felix Baumgarten at his Red Bull space jump. Okay. What's wrong with this picture?
It looks, that particular picture looks a bit Photoshopped, doesn't it?
Well, it's not Photoshopped. It's what's called a fisheye lens. It bends things. It's a GoPro fisheye lens. If you look, all of this land, we see this little river here, and we looked at the landmarks, we zoomed in and we looked, this is all New Mexico. So this is planet New Mexico. Okay. This is all New Mexico. Yeah. Right?
That's just New Mexico. So,
that's just New Mexico. So that shows you that it's a fisheye lens. You know that he did 2 jumps before this that were not televised, and all of the cameras were not GoPro fisheye lenses, and the horizon was flat and at eye level. Okay, just like when you look at the horizon now, it's at eye level. At 127,000 feet, it was at eye level, and it was flat. But then they did the third one with fisheye lenses. This is what they showed. Now, is Felix Baumgarten a liar? Either he's a liar, or he was told, hey, you're going to be up high enough, you're going to see the curve. Look what he's wearing on his face. He has a curved glass helmet on, right? Everything's going to be curved. Look, put a curved glass helmet on. It bends everything. So he probably didn't see this much curve, but he probably saw a little curve because of the helmet, and he thought he was seeing the curve of the Earth. We see what we want to see. You with me?
Okay.
So this is
My
what
big question is why would they say to Felix, you're going up there. We want you to know it's going to be round. We want you to
this is
tell everybody it's going to be round.
120,000 feet without a fisheye lens, right?
Okay.
So that's a great question, and I believe that this was done for the purpose of making people think we live on a ball. Okay, whether Felix was in on it or not doesn't matter. He may have been, he may not have been, but the result is the same because everybody uses this. They go, Felix Baumgarten saw the curve, but think about this: on the heliocentric model, the Earth is turning right at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, it's 24,000 miles around. It's turning at 1,000 miles an hour. He goes up. It's turning to the east, right? So he goes up for 3.5 hours. It's turning to the east. He should land 3,000 miles to the west, right? Because the Earth is spinning from underneath him. He's up in the thinnest of atmosphere. The Earth is spinning below him. He didn't land to the west. He landed east of where he took off. The Earth is spinning.
I mean, the argument
him.
would be that he's moving inside the atmosphere. He's moving with the Earth as it's going. Isn't that the argument that they would have?
So that is the argument. But think about this. When he's up higher, he actually has to spin faster than the Earth just to keep up with it because that circle at that higher atmosphere is bigger than the circle down low, right? So the Earth is spinning here. This circle where he is has to go faster, right? Like if you're on the outside of a merry-go-round versus the inside, you're going around the same amount of time, but the person on the outside is moving faster. You with me?
Okay, right. Yeah.
So it's all impossible. I mean, all of it's impossible. And the whole idea of the atmosphere being Velcroed to the Earth makes no sense. A summer breeze can push the air to the left and to the right, and you could jump and get away from gravity, and come back down. How does a summer breeze work if everything's Velcroed onto if the atmosphere is spinning with the Earth? It makes no sense.
I mean, a summer breeze would be, it would be a gas that's moving rather than a solid like us. That's Moni. Again, I'm no scientist. I'm only just.
No, you don't have to be a scientist. You just have to use a little bit of common sense, just a little bit. I mean, the Earth atmosphere is very fluid. It's not Velcro to the Earth. Winds go to the left, they go to the right, they go up, they go down. It just depends on where the hot and cold and high pressure and low pressure is. And speaking of high pressure and low pressure, we live in a high pressure system. Space, we're told, is a vacuum, right? And why doesn't it suck all the air off? And the only answer you have is gravity, right? Gravity's holding the air down, right? The second law of thermodynamics says you can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a barrier, okay? We can prove that by get a bottle, empty bottle, and suck some of the air out of it, put the top on it so it's a little low pressure in there, right? Turn it upside down, open it up, and it's going to suck the air right up. But if you stick the nose of it underneath water, and you open the top, it'll suck the water up and away. Just that little bit of low pressure will suck water up and away. I can take a straw and drink fluids with it, right? Just a little bit of low pressure in my mouth, and the water will rise up and away from gravity. But the super powerful vacuum of space can't rip the air away from the Earth.
So what's keeping us down then?
So what's keeping us down? That's a good thing. That's a good question. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, the Lion guy, say that they don't know what gravity is. They don't know what gravity is. They don't know what it is. Every test to prove that mass attracts mass has failed. Okay. They say they don't know what it is. As a matter of fact, they have to invent dark matter and dark energy, right? They say that the space is 96% dark matter and dark energy because it has to be, because the gravity doesn't work without it. Well, no one's seen it. No one's measured it, but it has to be. And their gravity equation still doesn't work. Their quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson is, I don't know what it is, right? But we know what it is. The Earth plane is electric, okay? Everything's electric. We are electrical beings. The only true forces in this world are electric and magnetic. The Earth has a measurable negative charge to it, okay? So that negative charge attracts things down. It establishes a downward direction. It's a very weak force, just like they say gravity is a weak force. And then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I held a basketball up over a pool, I drop the basketball, it falls through the air because it's more dense in the air, and it sits on top of the water because it's less dense than the water. Okay? Everything is just attracted down by this electromagnetic force. And the way we can show that this is an electromagnetic force You ever see those little triangle things they make out of tin foil and they electrify them and they float up? Just if you go on YouTube and search anti-gravitic tinfoil triangle, whatever, electric, you'll see these people do these experiments. They electrify them and they float up. Why is electricity negating gravity unless it's just negating the negative charge of the Earth? We've also done experiments.
Okay.
One of our researchers, he has a Van de Graaff generator which generates static charges, and he got a metal plate and he made a negative charge to it, and it picked things up off the floor. They went to the plate instead of going down. Lightning. So again, he overwhelmed the negative charge of the Earth with a stronger negative charge above the Earth. It's not gravity. It's just this negative charge. So he proved that that's the case.
So are we all positively charged then? That's what's drawing us to the Earth.
Whether we're positive or negative, it still attracts things down. So there's a thing called an ionizer where you bring it in a room and it positively charges all the dust in the room, and all the dust falls to the floor, and then your wife can vacuum it up because men don't vacuum. And I'm just kidding, right?
Dave,
the
don't be alienating people.
We don't vacuum. The house cleaner vacuums. And that's because it's
there's money in this stuff.
Negative charge to it. He did this guy Good Times for All channel. He got a little thing and he's hanging it from a balloon, and he had it so it's just floating over the floor, and he had some electrodes attached to it, and it's just floating over the floor with a balloon. And he changed the charge of it with his Van de Graaff generator, and he made it a more positive charge, and it got heavier, and a more negative charge, and it got lighter. You could see it go up and down when he charged it and discharged it. So he's showing you that the charge of something affects the amount of pull it has on it. So that's why I believe that they have anti-gravitic craft. They're really electromagnetic craft that they don't really tell us about.
Oh, okay. Well, why wouldn't they bother telling us? I mean, that sounds like an unbelievably big advantage is to have. I guess they don't have to tell us how it moves, but
they need us. They need to control us. So govern is to control, and ment is the mind. They need to control us, and they don't want us being free. They need us being slaves to their system, so they control us. Imagine if we had access to free energy, because there is free energy everywhere. It's measurable. Tesla had it. They took it away. Access to unlimited pristine water and the ability to grow food. Why would we need government if we had all of those things? Well, they don't want us to have that. They don't want us to have any of that. And then imagine having that and knowing that we're not on a prison planet, that there's more land beyond the realm that we think we live in, beyond the edges of our world. So where's the edge?
Do you think there's more land beyond the edges of our world? Do you think there's more, far more?
Personally, I do. But the problem is, we're not allowed to explore Antarctica. So let me explain real quick what the flat Earth is, right? Do you understand the model of the flat Earth? So we're told
circular and
so we're told that Antarctica is a continent at the bottom of the ball, right? Here's Antarctica and here's the ball, right? That's not the case at all. A puddle is where water accumulates in the low spot in the land, right? Just a puddle. You know what a puddle is? After a rainstorm, you got a puddle. Yeah. So that the edge of the puddle is where the land is just higher than the surface of the water, right?
Yeah.
Simple. Very simple. Yeah. So a pond is a bigger puddle, and a lake is a bigger pond. And a lake is the same thing. You have a body of water that's in the low spot in the land, and the edge of the lake all the way around is the land that is consistently higher than the lake. If there was a low spot, the water would run off that low spot and then find a new edge until there was land that was higher. Okay. Antarctica is the land that surrounds the Earth pond. So all the oceans in the Earth make a pond. All of the continents are the islands, and the edge of our land is the edge of our world is Antarctica, which is just the shoreline of the world pond. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Did you know that? When you go to Antarctica, I did not know that.
No.
When you go to Antarctica, the land is like 100, 200 feet above your head when you get there. It's the highest land
Right.
on Earth. We live in the Antarctic basin. Right?
Okay.
And the Earth, they say is 70% water. Might be more water than that, or there may be hidden continents out here that nobody can get to. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. Fact. We can do it. We can measure it.
Right.
And we can see too far. If the Earth is 24,901 miles around, there would be curvature. Okay. Right. If you're on a ball, there would be curvature. And as something goes away, it would disappear over that curve. Correct.
And do things not?
Well, they do, but it's interesting. Like a boat will disappear over the horizon, and then you can take a super zoom camera and zoom it back in again. So here's a picture of a city skyline, right? You got this tall Space Needle, you got the city line, and this is way out there. But this is just a consumer camera. We're zooming out, and watch, it just disappears. It looks like if you were standing on the beach here, you would think that you couldn't see it because it's over the curve. Did you see that?
I mean, the argument for that is refraction, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, refraction, we've proved that that's not the case. We've seen, like across Lake Michigan, we can see Chicago. The tops of those buildings should be the only thing that we see, but we can see the entire thing. So people say, they say, well, that's refracting. It's a mirage. But a couple of our guys got in a boat, put a camera on it, and went across the lake. If it was a mirage, it would disappear at one point. It didn't. It stayed there.
And how much should that have dropped over that distance, Dave?
50 miles. The drop is, so I think it's about 50 miles. So I'll just do 50 miles. So the formula is miles squared times 8 inches. So 50 times 50 times 8 divided by 12 is 1,666 feet of curvature in 50 miles. If it's 50 miles.
Okay, fair.
So at 100 miles, it's 6,600 feet of curvature. 100 miles is 6,000. That's over a mile of curvature. But there's Navy captains that can see, that can target with pinpoint lasers other boats 100 miles away. Right?
Do you think that, like Navy captains, that they don't believe it, that it's curved?
Well, a lot of them don't think about it, and a lot of them probably know. Okay. See this boat?
Right.
See this boat? See this mountain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As we zoom out, the boat's going to disappear and the mountain's going to disappear, all due to perspective. Okay. It's just gone.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's how our eyes see, and things do disappear from the bottom up. Due to a couple things. There's a thing called the wavefront edge, and there's also mirroring, as it goes away, and it basically the lower part of the boat, you have a less of an angular view of it, and it disappears first. And so you have those three things that literally make things disappear from the bottom up. Any one of them can do it alone.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that distance, it's just going to show on the flat. Now, tell me this: what depth are we looking at when we hit the Antarctic wall? Then, what depth? Say, a man wanted to climb the thing, get over it. What distance are we talking? What depth is that wall? What thickness is the wall of ice?
So it's not a wall. It's literally the shoreline of our world. Antarctica, when you go there, you can go for thousands of miles, supposedly, where it's just a flat ice plain. And then there's supposedly a mountain range taller than Everest, okay? That kind of just surrounds us. Now, is there a dome that connects to it? I kind of believe there's a dome, but again, we don't know. So what's beyond?
What could that dome be made of?
That's a great question. Is it energetic? Is it made of ice? Is it made of frozen oxygen? Is it made of glass? I don't know. There's lots of different things. In Antarctica, there's researchers down there that have talked about when they were there that they are experimenting. They're testing this thing they call sky ice that they get from the outer depths of Antarctica, the outer lands. Maybe they're drilling into the dome, and it's
sky ice,
blue ice, not dry, sky ice. It's sky blue.
Ice.
And it doesn't melt. It's super cold, and then it just shrinks and disappears without leaving a puddle. Okay, they can't move it out of
like a frozen gas.
They have no way to keep it cold enough. What's that?
Is it frozen gas and then changed to dissolved gas without ever becoming a solid?
I don't know. I've never got my hands on it, but there's lots of stories about it. And I'm going to show you the best way to learn about flat Earth, other than just believing this crazy guy on the internet, where you can see the stuff yourself. Because right now, if you Google flat Earth, if you try to research flat Earth on your own, you will get fed garbage. Okay. You will get fed the Flat Earth Society. You will get fed, images of Earth that, they want you to think that the flat Earth is this, a flat pancake floating with other planets out there. If you Google.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you just turned your microphone on.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, I must have.
No, it's good. It's good. Now you're good.
Okay.
You sounded like you were in the distance before.
Oh, right. I beg your pardon.
That's right. If you Google images of Earth, they'll show you this. They want you to believe that this is the flat Earth. This is not the flat Earth. None of us believe any of this nonsense. Okay. This is disinformation to make you discredit flat Earth. If you research flat Earth on your own, you'll come across a little bit of truth and a bunch of garbage, and you'll just say flat Earthers are the dumbest people on the earth, and I'm never going to look at it again. And that's why President Obama mentioned the Flat Earth Society a half a dozen times in his speeches, because he wants people to go there if they're interested in flat Earth. Because once you do, you'll never look at flat Earth again. So.
Now, is there such a thing as space? Are we in space, or do we know where we are?
Well, let's destroy every space agency that's ever existed. We'll start with NASA. I'm going to show you, if I show you that they're faking one thing, then you have to unwind it all the way to we never went to the moon. But I'll show you several things, and then I'll tell you where you can see a million things, okay? So
yes,
you're going to be the skeptic. You're the globe guy. They show us the ISS, and we look down at the Earth, and they're showing us, this is the space station right now. What if they show you this? And I say, where is the land? What would you say?
It's directly under us there. I can only assume.
Well, you'd say that's the middle of the ocean. It's too cloudy. But what if I told you that we did this and it's taken from a front yard and they just turned it upside down? Okay. That's how easy.
Yeah.
That's how easy you're fooled. To thinking stuff. Now, what if you don't know what this is? That's good, but pretend you don't know what it is. Is that 40,000 pounds of steel falling through the sky, or is that a blimp, a balloon? This is a guy. This is Felix jumping. Watch how fast he falls. Right, he's falling pretty fast. Is this 40,000 pounds of steel or a balloon?
I'm going to say 40,000 pounds of steel. Just because it was the first thing you said. Well, it kind of looks like one, doesn't it? And you look at that, that is a balloon. That is a balloon. Okay.
But we're supposed to believe that that's the external tank from the shuttle, which weighs 40,000 pounds empty. Okay. It's a balloon. They're fooling us on every level. So in the space station, sometimes they use the zero-G plane. You know what a zero-G plane is? A plane that takes a parabolic arc, and you have like 45 seconds of weightlessness. Yeah. So this guy whizzes down, and then it's a straight tube. There's no left-hand turns on a page. So he's just going behind this stuff right here, and watch, he fades out. You can see through him because there is no way to turn.
Oh,
look, he's transparent. This is just CGI fakery, right?
Right, yeah. That's from the space station, is it?
Yeah, that's supposedly from the space station. So that's done on a parabolic plane where you only have short little clips. Other times they're talking to us, and they're always there like this, They're always there, floating. They're always there. Here, let me show you. They're always there. They're like this, and they're like, "Ooh, I'm floating." Right? Okay. I'm floating on the space station. All right. All right. And then they're flipping stuff around in the air. They're always flipping their microphone or flipping their hat and stuff. So what they're doing is it's all done with green screens and hanging from wires, and they get tangled in their wires all the time. And one time when they were just finishing the broadcast, watch what happens. The green screen glitches out. Everything that was floating in front of them and them glitched out, but everything else stayed perfect, right? This was at the end, and they cut away, okay?
Okay.
These guys were flipping stuff around, and in the background, for effect, they had this guy float by way in the distance, and I zoomed in, and the green screen screwed up, and it didn't get rid of his harness. He's hanging from a harness. He's just floating by. They're faking
Wow.
people floating in space, right?
Well,
This one is
that's a
even
lot of
worse.
effort to go to, isn't it?
Well, you asked the question at the beginning. You asked the question at the beginning of why the lie, why a lot of effort. Let me just tell you that all space agencies, their only purpose is to make you think you live on a ball. That's it. The only purpose. Okay. To make you believe in infinite space and everything that comes with believing you live on a ball. Check this out. She's doing a presentation to kids, and watch right here. There's nothing there. Now there's an object, and she's manipulating it. That is called augmented reality. She's playing with a CGI object, and this is how it's done. She's looking in her glasses, and she can see this, and she's grabbing something, and she can manipulate it in real time, and then the computer renders it as a real object, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's going on there, and then they literally these things that they're doing, and sometimes they go to grab something and they miss it, and they think they have it in their hand, but they missed it, and the computer didn't bring it along with their hand. Other times they're holding something, like one guy was holding a microphone while another guy was singing, and he moved the microphone too fast. The computer lost track of it, and it went through the guy's head. The microphone went through his head. And sometimes half their head disappears. All of these glitches happen all the time. And we just slow them down, zoom in on them, and show you that they're not being real. This is my favorite. And I've been showing this lately, and I'm going to show you. One time I was watching the news. This was years ago, and they don't do this live anymore. And the news said, we're going to have a very short visit with the astronauts on the shuttle or the space station. I forget what it was. And we're only going to have them for like 45 seconds. Why because they only have a certain amount of satellite coverage, right? This whole story, right? Well, 45 seconds is about how much time they have in a 0G flight. So these guys, this is a 0G flight, right? So this is a 0G flight that looks like the space station. And this is one that's just on a regular airplane. So these guys were on the news and they're talking to them. And all of a sudden, unexpectedly, they all slammed into the wall. They just went bam, and the news cut away, right? And they're like, oh, we're hearing from NASA, there was an unexpected shift in the space station, right? So these guys had a catastrophic shift in the space station, and they all slammed against the wall. And I said, that's weird. So I took the video, and I compared it to the end of a 0G flight. Just when you're finishing the parabolic arc, this is how people fall when the gravity returns or the parabolic arc stops, and this is how they fall. Now watch these guys. This guy, it might be hard to see, but this guy in the front here, he has two objects in the air. It looks like a roll of duct tape and something else, and he was dazzling everybody with, looking, and he catches them with one hand. He slammed into the wall, but he was able to catch both objects with one hand, like he's done it 1,000,000 times. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
This was done in a 0G plane. They practiced it 1,000,000,000,000 times, and something went wrong during the live broadcast where the plane came out of the arc too soon, and they all crashed. I mean, they thought it was the end of the arc, but they were still broadcasting on live TV, and they caught it. If you watch him, he catches these two objects, one hand, bam. That's they should have been freaking out that they're all going to die, not let me catch these two items so they don't hit the wall with me. It's all fakery. It's all complete and total fakery. So unwind that. We never went to the moon. Nobody's ever been to space. Space doesn't exist. Astronauts are all liars except Don Pettit, who's actually retarded and he thinks he went to space. But so I don't know what else to say about that.
Okay, all right. So now we've been the mind is infected. Okay.
Yeah, it was infected with cartoons.
And so far, you think everything we've seen so far is just a cartoon?
Everything here. This is, Jupiter.
Yeah.
And that we're told that this is a gaseous, stormy planet. And this, you know what this red dot is? Excuse me. This red dot is
a swirling storm or something.
Yeah, it's a storm, and it's bigger than Earth, right? It's a hurricane bigger than Earth, and it never goes away. And so these are all clouds. And there's a video, they have like a grainy black and white video supposedly taken from some craft that went by. And like this ring is going this way, and this ring is going this way, and this ring is going this way. So the storms are going in opposite directions. So these are all storm clouds. So in 2016, excuse me, 2016, they said, look, we got a photo of the northern lights on Jupiter. Doesn't that look fake? Let's just assume
Does
it's
look
real.
a bit. It looks a bit hokey, all right. Yeah.
So this is an official picture from NASA. But if you overlay these two pictures over 2 years apart and do the transparency up and down, you'll see that every little storm. See this little dot right here? It's right there.
Yeah.
Okay. All these little clouds, they're exactly the same. These little clouds, they're exactly the same. It's the exact same picture. This one's just a little bit lighter. Okay.
Yeah.
They're faking photos of planets. They're faking photos of planets.
So what, David, what are we looking at when we see the sun, we'll say? What is that? You know?
What is the sun? That's a that's a great question. So again, anything above our heads is speculation, and we can speculate all day long. Anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. So what is the sun? The sun does not act like a physical object. It when you let's say you lost your iPhone, you left your iPhone somewhere, right? And it's in the middle of the woods, whatever. And you can track it by cell towers are triangulating on it, right? You know how that works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have two cell towers, it can come up with a pretty good location of where it is because it just needs that triangle to do the math. And it says, all right, it's right here on the map. But if you have a third tower or a fourth or a fifth tower, you can really nail it down. You can really get more angles and it'll do it. But so if you have two people and we know they're distance apart, and one person is directly under the sun, and they know that because they have a plumb bob on a stick, and the stick has zero shadow, so they know that the sun is directly above them, 90 degrees, right? And they know that their friend is 100 miles, 500 miles that way. And so the friend can say, okay, well, I see the sun at a 45-degree angle. You see it at a 90-degree angle. You can do some math, and you can calculate the position of the sun, right? Right? Yes. You got a right angle, and you can calculate the position of the sun. Whether you want to factor in the curve or not, you can factor it in. But the more people you add to that equation, the farther the position of the sun goes out of whack, because everyone is seeing the sun in a different position. That sounds crazy. So,
okay.
So
yeah, because all the principles I would have learned in college totally go against that. But I'm absolutely intrigued.
Yeah. I think that the sun that we see is, for lack of a better word, a reflection or a projection. I like using the word of reflection. And I'm going to give you an example of how we see it in different positions and how it could be throwing so much heat. All right. So imagine we're in a big room and it's a giant wall. It's just a solid mirror. Okay. And behind us is a sun, right? You and I, the sun is behind us. And you and I are 20 feet apart, okay? I get a third person to walk up to that mirror and I say, I see the sun right there. And they put a little X on the mirror with a Sharpie, okay? Then they walk over to you and you say where you see the sun. And that X is going to be 20 feet from my X. You're going to see it in a different place. Try this at home, okay? Mm-hmm. Get a mirror. Get a light behind you, have two people stand in different areas that could both see the light, and then have a third person mark the mirror where they see the X, where they see the sun, and you're gonna be seeing it in a different position. All right? That makes sense. You see, understand that?
Yeah.
So if it's a reflection, well, how come I can feel so much heat? And this is where the revelation came to me. I was at a conference in Las Vegas, and it was 3:30 in the afternoon. And I was sitting by the pool, and the sun was about 45 degrees off to my right, and I could really feel the heat on the side of my face. I'm like, wow, that sun's hot, right? And the hotel was about 100 yards to my left, and it was a very mirrored hotel, and the sun was lining up with one of the mirrored windows perfectly, and I could see the sun, and it looked exactly like the sun over there. Now, of course, I knew which one was the real sun, but I could see the sun in that mirror, and it was reflecting on the left side of my face, and it was friggin' hot. And I closed my eyes and I said, is that one any hotter than that one? And they were both literally the same. Okay, I was getting the same amount of heat off
Okay.
of the sun, the real sun, or whatever we call that, and the reflected sun were reflecting the same amount of heat on my face. Isn't that strange?
So you're reckoning that people seeing the sun from different places is just reflection?
It's the sun, I believe, is being projected into the Earth system. Okay, and we all see it in a place relative to our own position. I have videos
Okay.
that I have videos called about the personal atmospheric dome, and it's a lot to take in. I recommend just watching those videos. Let me show you my app, because I created this app because I would be talking to people like you just in person, and I'd be explaining flat Earth, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
really? And then I created this app because I wanted something to show them, and I made it for myself. I just had it as a test flight app on my phone, and I showed people, and they go, "Oh, that's how it works. Hey, where can I get that app?" So then I decided to publish it, and everything
Brilliant.
spiraled. Yeah. So you haven't seen my app, have you? You're gonna love
No,
it.
I haven't. I had no idea. And I'd looked you up. I didn't see anything about your app.
You are gonna love this. All right. So
Right.
you got that? You got that big on the screen for people to see?
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's the world pond and there's the sun. The think of the world pond as the face of a clock. And this is how they fooled us, right? The controllers are like, "Hey, we're going to give them clocks, but let's make the clock go around twice a day rather than once, because if we do, they might figure out where they live." Right? So the sun is the hour hand. It goes
Okay.
around once a day, right? Wherever the sun is, it's
Yeah.
noon in Eastern Australia right now. It's noon in Central Australia. You know, this is that. So wherever the sun is, and you see, following the sun is the a waxing crescent moon. Just got a little bit bigger.
Yes.
So I'm going to speed it up, and you'll see that the sun goes around once every 24 hours. It keeps track of the hours and the days. It's the hour hand of the world. The moon and its phases and position keep track of the weeks and the months, right? The sun will lap the moon every 28 days. Okay.
Yes.
So it takes 28 times around to lap the moon. So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. And when the moon is 180 degrees opposed to the sun, it's a full moon. You see?
Yeah. But my only question is, what are these things? What, like, physically?
Well,
What are, because we know what rock is, we know what ice is, we know what water is, but what in the
yeah.
hell is the sun, and what in the hell is the moon?
The moon is the biggest mystery of all, and we'll talk about the moon when I'm done showing you this. Remind me to tell
Yeah.
you about what the moon. Moon is the biggest mystery of all. So let me slow this down, and if I turn on the stars are very interesting. Here are the 12 zodiac stars, where you get your 12 signs, and they spin almost at the same speed as the sun, but they're going slightly faster. So as you can see, the sun here is moving. This zodiac is catching up to the sun. So next month the sun will be in this zodiac, and then a month later it'll be in Pisces, and a month later it'll be here, right? Because these are catching up. They only lap the sun once a year. You with me?
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So once a year, so the sun will be in each zodiac for that month, for that star sign. So the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. So let's talk about seasons for a second.
Please. Yes.
Yeah. So if you look at the sun right now, it's we have this outer yellow line. This outer yellow line is called the Tropic of Cancer, and this inner yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. You with me? That's
Yeah.
you've heard those names, but people are like, I don't. Well, what does that really mean? So on December 21st, the sun is directly over the Tropic of Capricorn, and that's the outer southern lands summer. If you look, it goes right over Australia. It's really hot in Australia. It's the heat of their summer right now. South America. I mean, South Africa. It's the heat of their summer this time of year, and it's our inner northern winter. Where are you? Where are you? What country?
Ireland, is it?
You're in Ireland.
Oh, we're in Ireland.
Okay.
Just beside the UK.
Yeah, so the it's our winter because the sun is farther away. If I jump the sun forward to June, here it is over the Tropic of Cancer, and it's our summer. Think about this. You got two airplanes that are flying parallel with each other at 10,000 feet. One of them's flying directly over your head, and the other one is 30 miles south of you. Okay, they're at the same
Mm-hmm.
altitude and they're flying parallel with each other. Imagine that those are that the one over your head is the summer sun. It's high over your head. It's high in the sky. And then the other one is when the sun is out south over the Tropic of Capricorn. It's lower in the sky. Think of that airplane. It's way over there.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Much
yeah.
lower in the sky, just like our sun is lower in the sky right now. Okay. And because it's farther away.
Yes, now I'm with you.
Yeah. So the sun migrates in between the tropics. And that's why they're calling the tropics. This red line in the middle is the Tropic of then not the tropic, it's the equator. So they tell us that the Earth is 24,901 miles around. Okay. That's the equator is the biggest circle on Earth, 24,901 miles. So this red line here is, we're going to assume it's 24,901 miles around. Okay. That's the equator. What's interesting is they tell us Antarctica is a continent at the bottom of the ball and its circumference is 13,000 miles. Well, that makes sense. The equator is 24,000 miles around. Antarctica is down here. It's 13,000 miles around. That makes sense. However, nobody has gone around Antarctica and measured 13,000 miles. This is more like 60,000 miles. Okay. Captain Cook went around. It took him 3.5 years, I think. He went over 60,000 miles and they never, he didn't do it in 13,000 miles. So there's so much deception about Antarctica because Antarctica will really unlock the truth of our Earth. So here's the thing about the app. The app shows you all of this stuff. You see, it shows you how compasses work, where north is in the center, south is every direction away from the center, and east and west are not straight lines. East and west are circles. This is a fact. Okay. I could show
right,
you.
Yeah.
East and west are circles. They're not straight lines. You can't point east. Point any direction right now. Take your arm, point any direction. Go ahead, point. That's south.
There we go.
Point another direction. Point another direction. No, across the plane, not up. That's also south. Point another direction. That's also south. Every direction, straight line will become south, and I'll explain it. Here, let me explain it right now. So you see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
You see my mouse? So if I want to go, if I'm just going a straight line, this is a straight line. I'm going up. I'm heading north, 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 north. Now I'm heading south. South, 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 south. I hit Antarctica. If I want to go east, east is this way. I have to keep turning to the left because I need my compass to point to the center. East is a circle. But if I take off, I'm going to head east. I'm going to go in a straight line. I'm heading south. I'm heading away from the north and center. I'm heading south. If I want to go south, I head south. If I want to go west, I have to keep turning to the right because if I keep going straight, I'm heading south. Every friggin' straight line ends up going south. Right?
So there are no more east and west really anymore.
Well, east and west are circles on a flat earth and on a ball earth. East and west are circles.
Right.
When you're going, when you follow your compass, you have to keep turning to the north. You have to keep turning to the north. All right. So let me show you. If you hit the question mark, here's the thing. Everybody has the same questions. I go on these interviews and I know what questions they're going to answer. I'm going to answer these questions. Okay. What about gravity? What about seasons? We were just talking about that. Where's the edge? Or, what about southern flights? And that's a very interesting one. What about eclipses? Or you're going to ask it momentarily, why the lie? And when we click why the lie, any videos, up comes a playlist of
brilliant
videos that YouTube will not serve you. If you go search flat earth, you're going to get a whole bunch of propaganda. You said, hey, Dave, send me something on, are all pilots and scientists in on it? Or, what about NASA? What about space agencies? What about the space agencies? Are they all in on it? If you click that, up come all of these videos that will really blow you away. But if I sent you one video, the next one that will pop up would be a YouTube algorithm of a debunking, of nonsense, of total disinformation to throw you off the path. And people that believe in the ball,
well, I think we established that the space agencies are telling us lies. But as you said, valid point. Are pilots and scientists behind it, or are they fooled as well?
Many are fooled, many know. We've interviewed a KLM pilot, a woman who is head pilot for KLM. She was telling us how she knows the Earth is flat and stationary, was showing us images and all sorts of stuff. And the next day, she was grounded and fired. Okay, so
Right.
we've talked to a lot of pilots behind the scenes, the Qantas pilots who the Southern pilots, the Qantas Airlines. Those people know. And the pilots say they talk about it freely amongst themselves in their lounge, but they don't talk about it publicly because they want to keep their jobs. So
Oh,
also, if you hit the web button, up come other stuff. All my interviews are over here, which people seem to like. We have other flat Earth friendly shows. Flat Earth Man, you want to teach your kids about flat Earth? His videos are the most educational, children friendly things ever. They're hysterical. Once you start watching them, you'll die laughing.
I don't know. He doesn't look like the most kid friendly looking bloke you'll ever see.
Just watch a couple of his videos. Watch a couple of his videos.
Okay.
He's an English guy. He's got this like cowboy thing, but when you talk to him in real life, he sounds like a gay Englishman. So biblical flat Earth, amazing stuff in there. If you realize there's so much stuff in the Bible and the Quran, all of these books, it's all about flat Earth. And the bottom right, mud floods in Tartaria, if you're not aware of that, that's a rabbit hole that's going to take you. There's also playlists in different languages, so for people that don't speak English. But what I tell people is take the Flat Earth app challenge. In the bottom left-hand corner is the featured video of the day. And every day there's a new video, short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekend. And I say just watch a video every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, you will know that you don't live on a spinning ball. And there's also the archive button right next to it. If you hit the archive button, up comes, most people say, I took your challenge and I didn't want to wait. So I hit the archive button, and here are all the videos from this month. And if I hit the little hamburger at the top, all the videos from all the previous months, right? Stuff that you will not easily find online anymore. So all of that stuff's there. And I have a thing for your listeners. You know what Bitcoin is, right? You're aware of Bitcoin?
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is, as we're talking here, probably approaching $40,000. I have a full Bitcoin for anybody that takes a challenge and can supply me with one proof of the globe. I will refund the cost of their app, which is $2.90. I'll refund the cost of their app, which is $2.99, and transfer them a Bitcoin. One proof of the globe.
But before you send it
to me, go hit that question mark, because your question's there, it's answered, and you're not going to get the Bitcoin. So there you go. And it's called when we're seeing hold on, let me just tell you where to get it. It's shoot away, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's available on the Apple App Store. You have to have an iPhone 6 or better. And it's available in the Google Play Store. You have to have operating system 8.0 or better. And it's super easy.
I'll put it down in the show notes, Dave. Do you know what I mean? A link to it for both apps.
We'll put it in the show notes. Or if you're watching this on a computer right now, just point your phone towards that, and it'll show up on your phone.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. He's got a QR code.
It's $2.99. It's $2.99. And you'll love it. There's a ton of stuff in there. You can change the backgrounds. You can do all sorts of stuff. And you can gift it to your friends too, because nothing better than turning a friend into a flat earther. So you have somebody to talk to, because once you become a flat earther,
absolutely,
you're gonna isolate yourself from half your family, and most of your friends are gonna, you're gonna lose some friends, but you're gonna gain a whole new family of awake, intelligent people. So
tell me this, Dave. What and it only popped into my head because it was a button on the app. What is an eclipse then? Why bother with an eclipse? That sounds like a whole pile of effort.
Yeah, so eclipses are fascinating. Did you know, as the sky is a perfect clock, we believe, the heliocentric model is we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. We're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. The solar system's moving sideways at 1 or 2 million miles an hour, right? But somehow the stars remain in the exact same place. And even stranger, with all of these heliocentric crazy problems going on, the eclipses repeat themselves every 18 years and a certain number of days. They repeat again and again. Same eclipses happen again and again and again. You can predict eclipses into the future because they're on a repeating pattern. That's impossible in this helio-nonsensical spinning beehive universe.
Is it not a sensical beehive? Like, do they not claim that it is a sensical beehive that is happening there? That.
So here, have you heard of the two-body problem? So let me explain what the three-body problem is. Okay, so we're told that the sun is this giant ball of helium, or whatever it is,
Yes.
gases, that's holding on to the Earth with its gravity, and the Earth is 93 million miles away. So in scale, this little ball here would probably be 100 yards that way in this window with this size. Okay,
Yeah.
so and it would be smaller. So the Earth is falling around the sun in this perfect orbit while the sun is flying through space. This is already nonsensical, but that's fine. You can take a supercomputer, and we're also told that the moon is falling around the Earth while it's making all of these crazy motions and turns and chasing the sun. And it's holding the moon in a perfect orbit where the moon, we know where the moon's going to be years and decades in advance. So you take NASA's best supercomputer, the best supercomputer in the world, and you make a modeling program. You say, all right, I'm going to put a sun. This ball has this much energy, it has this much gravity, and I'm putting it in here, and I'm going to put this smaller ball in here. It has this much gravity. I'm going to set them in orbit around each other, and it works perfectly. They can say in a 10 years, we know exactly where that Earth is going to be. That orbit, it's going to work perfectly. Supercomputer seems like a simple problem, right? It seems like a simple program. Now we add a third body, either another thing going around the sun or a moon going around the Earth, and the entire model falls apart. The supercomputer cannot figure out what's going to happen next, and it just falls apart.
No.
It never repeats. It falls apart. That's three bodies. In our solar system, with all the sun, with all the moons and the planets they tell us that are up there, there's like 80 bodies, but everything works perfectly and comes around. Halley's Comet supposedly goes away and comes back 76 years later, where we're trillions of miles from where we were when it left us, but it somehow found us again. Yes. And you can't say it's all moving equally. It's all nonsense. The stars wouldn't be even night to night. Go out tonight. And at any time, mark the time, make a little pattern, say, okay, I see those star constellations. That's next to that tree. That's on the corner of my house. And make a little note. Then next year, same night, same time, go out. Those stars will be in the exact same position. The exact same position.
The argument that the authorities would have is that they're moving with us at the same time. So they're also moving.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Right.
It's nonsense. Let's talk about the size of the size of the sun. Okay. So the sun is gigantic. If we move the sun right next to the Earth, it would fill the entire sky, right? Right? Like if the sun was right over your head, it would look like this. That's what your sky would look like. Okay. So now we're gonna So this is a ball, right? And I just had it in front of the camera, and we're gonna move it away, move it a little farther away, and now it's this much smaller. And we're gonna move it farther away, and it's this much smaller. Now I'm gonna do it a whole bunch of times. Let's speed it up a little bit. And this is just over 100 yards. 100 yards. I went from filling the entire sky to a dot so small you can hardly see it, right? I went from the entire screen all the way to that in 100 yards. So that's showing you that perspective, things get smaller as they move away. So think about this.
Of course.
The sun is in our sky, and we have it right next to the Earth. It fills the entire sky. I move it 93 million miles away. It's now the size of my fingernail held at arm's length, right? Right? So it's just a small thing in the sky. Knowing what we know, how things get smaller as they go into the distance, what happens if I double that distance? How much smaller will it get?
It's going to half, at least.
Well, yeah. So what if I 8 times the distance? Do you think you could see it? It went from the entire sky. It went from the entire sky to the size of a frigging coin held at arm's length. If I made it 8 times farther, we can scientifically prove that your eye would not be able to see it for 2 reasons. One, its angular size would get so small you wouldn't be able to see it. And also, when you double the distance of something, it's 1/4 of its brightness. So it would get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, smaller and smaller, and you wouldn't see it. You with me?
But isn't the argument that we're not actually physically seeing the sun? We're seeing the energy that's given off from it. Isn't that what we're supposed to be seeing? Not actually physically seeing the sun itself.
Well, is that you're talking about the flat Earth model? I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the
yeah.
heliocentric model. So we're supposedly seeing the sun, 93 million miles away. So when I made that analogy, if you really think about it, 8 times farther, there's no way you can see it. There's no way. It would be too small, and it would also be dimmer too. So that distance, 8 times farther, is what's known as a light hour. Okay, it's only a light
Yes,
hour.
yeah, yeah.
The distance light travels in an hour. They tell us when you look up at all the stars in the sky, the closest star, the closest one, the others are much farther. The closest one is 4.5 light years away. Okay, your brain should just
Right.
melt on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
4.5 light years. I just showed you that if we made the sun 8 times farther than it is now, you wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, and they tell us that there's other suns out there. Those are our suns, right? Those are other stars that are just like our sun, some bigger, some smaller, but they're they're not a light hour away. They're a light hour times 24 of them times 365 of them times 4.5 of those. Okay, the
Yes,
numbers are
yeah,
so
yeah.
astounding. There's no way any logical thinking mind would even consider the idea that it would be visible.
So what the hell is the thing? So, I mean, because clearly you're saying that there's no possible way we could see the sun, that the authorities are telling us. What the hell is that thing that is
uh,
in the sky or above our heads anyway?
so this is speculation. This is Dave speaking. I'm not speaking on behalf of the flat earth community, but I think
Oh,
that the
well,
sun
Dave,
and the
you are the expert.
I'm not the expert. I'm the loudmouth that won't shut up about it. Um, so what is this? Do you know what this is?
Looks like a disco ball.
Yeah, it's not. This is the zooming. Our optics have outgrown their lives. This is the star Arcturus, and we're zoomed in on
Okay.
it. Okay, that is not a burning ball of hydrogen. This thing is within the Earth system. It's not in the solar system. It's in the Earth system. Okay, and it's a energetic point of light. This is the star Capella. Looks totally different. All right. One might be a little bit out of focus, but look at the colors and the angle and the pulsating. These things are
They're
energetic.
in our system, those
This
things.
is this. So you know what astrology is, right? I used to laugh at astrology. Like
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
how can the position of Jupiter affect my daily life? It's 35 million miles away. It's a gaseous rocky ball. How's that affect me? It can't even tug on the moon to pull the moon out of my orbit. How's it going to affect me? But what if you realize that it's within the Earth system, that these electric, magnetic, energetic, sentient, possibly things are all connected and all connecting with us and connecting with the Earth, and it's all a big system, and we are in this.
Oh, now we're getting into the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to use the word simulation, but I'll use the word simulation. We're in this construct where all of these things are factors in our life, all of these energetic things. There's I like saying stars might be where our souls are kept. And we're having this physical experience here on this plane. And we have this temporary time here, and then when we depart here, our soul goes back into the stars. So what is the sun? Well, isn't it fascinating that the sun is the sun, and then when you talk about God, it's the son? So let's think about some things about what they say about Jesus Christ. Okay, now this is just me thinking. Okay,
Okay, this is Dave thinking.
The sun, the son, walks on water, right? Walked on water. Well, if you and I were at the beach watching the sunset, you would see the sun glaring across the water right to the feet, right to the edge of your feet. You're standing at the edge of the water, right? But I'm 50 feet to your left, and I see the sun coming to my feet. But I look over at you, I don't see that line that you see, and you don't see the line that I see. So maybe I'm having my own personal relationship with the sun. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And
this
then
yeah.
So again, the other thing is things that you could say, the sun, the Jesus brought light to the world. Well, the sun brings light to the world, and he feeds us, and the sun grows everything. The sun is our savior. Imagine if the sun didn't show up for a year. and we're all freezing. I was like, what the hell? And then one day the sun showed up. What are you going to say? You're going to go, my savior.
Dave, you clearly never been to Ireland.
Yeah, okay.
Sun doesn't show up here a lot.
Well, so again, so Christians out there, don't get mad at me, because I'm not saying, I'm not denying your story of Jesus. I'm saying, just like we are having these experiences here, maybe there's a star up there that is Tommy, and there's another star up there that is the soul that we call David Weiss. And maybe this maybe the sun is having its experience here and manifested as Jesus. And you know what? There's many other religions that have the same story as Jesus, right? Died on the 21st and was resurrected on the 25th. Well, if you remember on my app, the sun goes out, it goes farther and farther away. It dies on the 21st. It stays there for 3 days, and then it starts coming back on the 25th. Okay, it rises on the 25th.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting, isn't it? The way one ties into the other.
And then what is science? What are the liars and the science people? They're always telling us the truth, but they say it in a mystical way. They say that what was the point I was going to make there is now I forgot the point. It'll come back to me. So they always kind of tell us what they're doing. Like when NASA says they want to go to Mars and they want to go to outer space, perhaps Mars is beyond Antarctica across the plane. Perhaps Mars is another sun. And it is circling on the outside of Antarctica, and there's other land out there, right? Perhaps this outer ring is where Mars and Venus are, and Venus is a moon and Mars is a sun. And NASA says they want to go to outer space, to the outer space across the plane.
To the outer space, right.
The outer space.
Yeah.
And where do extraterrestrials come from? They come from the extra territory, the extra land, extra terra, beyond Antarctica.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe there's another realm out here. Okay.
Do you think possibly
right?
it's continuous? Yeah. I mean,
there might be, and then
the
more
argument
rings.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is there more rings out there then? But the moon, then, does the moon actually serve any purpose? I mean, there's talks of it controls the tides of the puddle that we're in and all the rest of it. Does it? Do you think?
It doesn't in the way they say it, because there's super high tides when there's a full moon, but when there's a new moon, there's no super high tides. Well, the moon's still there. It's just not lit up by the sun in the heliocentric model. Why isn't there an equally high tide? There are larger high tides when the moon there's a full moon, and that's because it's electromagnetic in nature. The Earth is a giant battery. Think of this. The Earth is a giant battery. The sun and the moon are the anode and cathode of that battery. Okay, and they circle around, and the energy is the current goes through the salt water. That's why there's only tides in salt water. Okay. And the salt bridge of the battery is the land. Okay, there's a YouTube channel, and it's just LC King, LCKING, who explains this stuff better than anybody, and it's high level thinking. He has a lot of short videos on it. Go there and learn about the galvanic Earth battery. Amazing
Earth battery.
Yeah. So again, that explains, this whole energetic system, free energy. We're taught to believe, that's pseudoscience. That's impossible. Perpetual energy is possible. No, this entire system we live in is filled with energy. There's no need to be controlled by having to buy electricity and stuff. That's dirty electricity, what they feed us. There's free energy in this world. People are so afraid of a food shortage. We live in a place where you can stick a seed that you've had in your garage for 30 years into the dirt, piss on it, and food will come out of the ground. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Valid point, yeah.
You can have one apple and then plant the seeds in the apple and have 30 apple trees that produce 1,000 apples a year. Okay?
Yeah.
From one apple. That's magic. So here, before we go too long, why the lie? Why the hell would they lie?
Why the lie? This is the one.
Why the lie? And the answer is because they want us to believe that we're insignificant, that we are lost in space, spinning out of control on a speck of dust with trillions of others of speck of dust in a godless or at best distant God universe where an asteroid could take us out at any moment, where, you know, we have no significance, we have no power, we're living in fear, and we give up our God-given divinity to the people that we call our controllers. Versus we live at the center of creation. We live at the center of a created world, that where we are divine spirits having an amazing experience here, that our thoughts create our reality, that our thoughts are literally constructing the reality around us. Everything you have is because of the thoughts that you think. Okay. That nobody has dominion over us, that nobody can tell us what to do, you know, and that is true even if you think you live on a ball, because, you know, nobody can tell you what you do, but they trick you into giving away your rights. They trick you into doing everything. Like if they tell us what's coming and we don't say no, that's us tacitly agreeing. So when you wake up to the flat earth, I was basically a nihilistic atheist before I discovered flat earth, right? I was just like, you know, we're here, whatever, we warm meat when I'm dead. And then I discovered, all right, we're not a random accident. And then the earth is created. That means there's a creator. Oh, crap. There's a creator. And then everything unwound from there. People, what difference does a shape make? The shape makes no difference. It's the lie that matters. You know, go watch the Truman Show, the True Man Show. Okay.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. That's all about us being in this realm. And there's more out there. They just don't want us to know it. I mean, Truman, he was happy when he didn't know. But then he found that door to the outside, and there's a whole nother world out there. Okay. And here's the other thing. The world is really screwed up right now. And the way we're in this screwed up world is because people believe they are spinning in space out of control and insignificant nothing. Okay. If you can convince somebody of that, you can convince them of anything. They're hiding God, right? Because they don't want. Now, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I know God. I'm doing well. I believe the earth is a ball. That's fine. But it's the people that have doubt. You could say God created this heliocentric universe and that's it. But then there's people that say, well, he either created it or maybe he didn't. It could be an accident. But if you discover the flat earth, there's no opening for an accident. This is a God created world. There's no other option. And I believe there's a verse in the Bible that basically says, once you see my creation, you'll have no excuse for denying my existence. Right. And that's what the devil doesn't want you to know. They don't want you to have no reason to deny God. So this is all about hiding God and controlling your minds. Isn't that crazy?
Okay. Yeah. No, hey, it makes sense. It makes sense. And out there, you know, leave people to their own devices, whatever way they want to go about it. But I think from whether you believe it's a sphere or not a sphere, and like you said, the shape doesn't matter. I think the premise of what's behind it is quite interesting and very poignant, that people shouldn't be wearing that yoke or dog collar of slavery and all the rest of it. You should be able to think freely. Now, there's a few people I can think of probably shouldn't. But
there's so many people that have woken up to flat earth, and they're literally, even if nothing physically changes in their life, their whole persona changes. Okay. You remember the documentary with Keanu Reeves called The Matrix? You know The Matrix? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The documentary.
The documentary. So at the beginning of the first Matrix, Neo's in his bedroom. He's depressed. He's sleeping a lot. He's trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with the world. He's depressed, right? Because he's trying to figure out something's wrong. Something's wrong. He was like Truman, waking up, like something's wrong. Something's wrong. And then look at Neo at the very end of the movie when he just destroys Agent Smith, right? The Neo at the end of the movie. That's a great analogy of how we are. Okay, people are lost. Their soul knows what's going on. Their soul knows it has a journey here, but their conscious mind is lost in space. It's been hijacked by the indoctrination system that we call school and television, live vision. Okay, it's been they've been separated from their soul's journey, and that's the goal of evil, to keep you separated, because they want your soul. That's it. This is all about your whole goal here in life is to maintain control of your soul and join it on its journey, because it had a plan. right? And if you get diverted with all of the nonsense out there, you can lose control of your soul, and that's what they want. There's many people that have sold their souls, and you can see what happens to them. So again, the point I was making is, once you see what this place is and you align with your soul, life just gets better. You get happier, you meet new friends, new circumstances come into your life. And just remember, you're your own worst enemy, right? Because if something's not coming into your life, it's because you're not letting it in, right? You're not letting it in. This is a magical world we live in. Magical is the best word I have for it. Magical, supernatural, whatever you want to call it. And we are the controllers of this world. They don't want us to know that. They are controlling our minds. They're calcifying our pineal glands. They're keeping us in fear. They're making us think that we're going to starve to death. They're doing everything. They're trying to, anyone that holds their arm out for that, the V word, where they're going to be trying to inject people, you've lost your mind. Right. And if you do that, good luck. Good luck. So there you go.
Dave Weiss, this has been an absolute treat. Tell everybody who's listening, and audio-wise anyway, do pop over to my YouTube channel and you will see the QR code that is here right now on the thing. But for now, Dave, the audio, where should people follow you anyway? Do you have your own podcast? Although you're doing about 50 a week.
We haven't been doing, with what's going on in the world, we haven't been doing a lot of episodes, but there's a lot of up there. If you haven't heard them, start at the beginning. Take the Flat Earth Podcast Challenge. It's the Flat Earth Podcast is the name of it. The Flat Earth Podcast, available on all podcast players, iTunes, SoundCloud. Just on your phone, just dial it into your podcast player and it'll come up. And listen to the first 10 episodes and you too will lose the respect of your family and friends. So that's you can find me there. The flatearthpodcast.com has links to everything. The app is the best way. It's the Flat Earth Sun Moon. It's not the Flat Earth Sun Moon and Zodiac Clock app. It's a long name, but if you just type in Flat Earth Clock, it'll come up. It's by Blue Water Bay. Just look for this little logo. It's $2.99.
Yes.
And if you download the free one, there's some globe trolls out there that are literally trying to copy the app. If you download the free one, don't send me an email saying your app sucks, because that's not my app. Okay. Just check out the reviews. If you're unsure, check out the reviews. Besides a few people that are like, it's not working on my phone, whatever, because they have a phone from 1999, whatever. Look at the reviews. People are like, it's the only app I've ever paid for. I would pay $30 for this app. Greatest app ever. Just read the reviews and you'll end up getting it. It's $2.99. You can't go wrong. And take the Flat Earth App Challenge. 2 weeks, listen to the videos, and then send me your proof and I'll send you a Bitcoin and I'll refund your app.
There is the challenge. David Weiss, thank you so much. This has been brilliant fun. Best of luck on your journey, and hope to talk to you again sometime. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, Dave. Good man. I will put a link to his app down in the show notes. And some man for selling them tea. Fair play to him. That's what it's all about. Good man, Dave. So it's up to you whether you believe in the flat earth or not. I don't really care. The most important thing is that you have hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give it the 5 stars. And then maybe a nice little comment would be lovely. Maybe give us a screen grab of it. If you follow me on Instagram at tomomahony.com, just tag me on it. We'll have an old chat about where you're watching. It'd be awesome. Get to know you. Lovely. The merch shop is there, of course, as well. If you do want to become a Patreon, you know what to do. Head on over. Link is down there in the show notes under this very podcast you're listening to right now. Click through 3 little doll hairs and you get to become part of the gang. Right. Boys, girls, goats, children, and all the people around the world. Go on away. God bless and thanks.